Western New York was home to the first ever commercial natural gas well back in the 1800s, and the state is now at the center of a debate on a new way to capture the energy.
And it's called fracking, and this topic affects every New Yorker, our state's finances, and our environment. Join your sides, Michael Wooten traveled to Tonawanda, Pennsylvania to meet with gas industry officials who say it's safe.
But as Michael reports in depth tonight, you get a much different take on fracking from environmentalists.
From mining coal to drilling oil, building roads to laying rails, through history, progress has taken sacrifice, the economy versus the environment. And those are the battle lines in the debate now over fracking.
The threat here is very, very real.
Drill it. Put people to work.
Up for grabs, tens of thousands of jobs, billions of dollars, and cleaner energy. But at stake, safe drinking water and the future of our environment. Northern Pennsylvania looks a lot like the southern tier of New York. Beautiful landscapes, fruitful farmland, and rolling hills. But it's what's beneath the surface that's fueling debate. The natural gas-rich Marcellus Shale extends from West Virginia through PA and into New York, holding hundreds of trillions of cubic feet of the so-called liquid gold. It burns much cleaner than coal and could one day fuel our cars at half the price of gasoline.
There's a lot of natural gas right here in this country.
The difficulty has been getting the gas out of the ground. That's where hydraulic fracturing or fracking comes in. Traditional vertical wells have been fracked for decades, but now a way to get more gas more quickly.
This is a Nomad rig, 112.
We met up with Joe Bailey, foreman of Chesapeake Energy's Burley pad in Bradford County, Pennsylvania.
They're laying down the directional tools now, I think.
Joe took us up on the rig where they're drilling a horizontal well that will allow them to capture more of the natural gas.
Already this crew has drilled down about a mile. They're now pulling the piping out, preparing to make the turn to take this from a vertical well to a horizontal one.
The horizontal fracking is still fairly new. After the well is drilled, millions of gallons of water mixed with sand and some chemicals are injected under extremely high pressure. That fractures the shale, releasing the gas. The process is complicated and comes with controversy.
There are very good questions, and we know that we have very good answers to those questions.
A common question for Chesapeake's Mary Beth Anderson: how to protect one of our most important natural resources while extracting another.
What type of danger is there to something happening underground and disturbing our water supplies?
Hydraulic fracturing has gotten a lot of attention, but it's important, I think, to remember that there's never been a case of hydraulic fracturing chemicals getting into the groundwater. It's never happened.
But there have been accidents, devastating ones. In Dimick, Pennsylvania,
That's all gas.
the water is so mixed with methane, residents can set it on fire. The state says the contamination was caused by the vertical natural gas drilling.
I have been dizzy in the shower and have had headaches, and yes, I have broken out in hives.
Julie Sotner's family and 18 others now rely on water that's treated, trucked in, or bottled. They're suing Cabot Oil and Gas, the company that drilled in Dimick. Many want to leave their hometown.
I sure don't want to live here anymore.
And soon, most won't. Cabot recently agreed to pay more than $4 million to the families as part of a settlement with the state.
A company does not pay $4.1 million to 19 individuals that it did not harm.
And anti-fracking activist Albert Brown says there's also tainted water right here in Western New York. This is what comes out of the spigot of Natalie Brandt's home in Springville. She says the vertical fracking that happened near her house ruined her water that's now laced with methane.
This is not natural occurring.
There's no doubt in your mind this is as a result of the drilling.
Oh, absolutely, this is a result of the drilling.
Water that isn't safe for drinking, bathing, or cleaning, and worse.
We've had a lot of illnesses with my children.
Brown says horizontal fracking would cause more widespread problems, putting in danger large aquifers that supply tens of thousands of homes.
Many wells in this area are 900 feet, 1,500 feet. Down in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, they are going 9,000 feet. So the water table here is much more shallow.
And much more susceptible then?
Absolutely.
Experts agree the shale is more shallow here, but Anderson is adamant horizontal drilling would only happen where the shale is at least several thousand feet below the water, protecting it by, in most cases, nearly a mile of solid rock.
There's no way for that to permeate the rock.
Not a mile of that rock, no. It's kind of like saying you stand on that side of the mountain and I'll stand on this side of the mountain and have a water hose at you and tell me when you get wet.
Chesapeake also installs layers of steel, cement, and casing around the well. But concerns aren't only underground. Talisman Energy was recently fined for a surface spill in Pennsylvania. Diesel leaked off the drill pad, contaminating at least 3,800 tons of soil and 132,000 gallons of water. Finally, perhaps the most asked question among activists.
What do you do with all that produced water or fracked fluid? What do you do with it when it comes out of that well?
Most companies have stored the toxic stew in so-called frack pits, like this one in southern Erie County. It's then treated and released back into streams and lakes. A 2 On Your Side investigation found that's happened here in Buffalo. We obtained these documents from U.S. Energy showing the Buffalo Sewer Authority accepted fracking fluid. The state DEC says it was pre-treated before going through the BSA plant, which eventually released it into our streams and Lake Erie.
Being on the Great Lakes, I think we need to protect the Great Lakes.
Richard Fontana and his fellow Buffalo Common Council members unanimously passed an ordinance that prohibits hydrofracking in Buffalo, and they made history by also banning the storage, transfer, treatment, and/or disposal of natural gas waste.
We have no choice but to pass laws to protect ourselves.
I think what you're seeing is a grassroots movement.
A movement gaining momentum, but gas companies say they're already addressing concerns, especially when it comes to the fracking fluid. Chesapeake transports it by truck to an equilibrium site near the well. A machine captures the sand and chemicals, allowing them to reuse the water.
They have figured out how to reuse and recycle our water. And that has been our biggest challenge, and it's one that we've overcome.
So are there legitimate environmental concerns or hydrofracking hysteria?
For this cabal to stand in the way over an unknown and undefined fear is so bad.
Carl Palladino's platform when he ran for governor, Drill Baby Drill. He says the state's economy can't afford to lose out on the benefits flowing into Pennsylvania and West Virginia. He claims up to 25,000 jobs could come to this state.
Why should New York do in the future what Pennsylvania is doing now?
Well, there are a lot of reasons. I would start with just the job creation because that's so much right in front of our face.
Chesapeake now has about 1,000 employees in Pennsylvania, and a Penn State study predicts 50,000 jobs created industry-wide in PA.
Jobs are the most important thing to the people of the state of New York right now. Our economy is in such a shambles.
But Dr. Susan Christopherson of Cornell, who is studying the economic impact, is skeptical, saying most of the jobs created are indirect in the retail, administrative, and transportation industries. She said the actual drilling produces very few new positions, and quote, these are very hard jobs and the vast majority of them will go to crews put together in Texas and Oklahoma where the industry is headquartered. Not so for Chesapeake.
All these guys are native Pennsylvanians.
Anderson says New Yorkers would run the rigs here, but for now, that's all on hold. A moratorium on horizontal fracking is in effect until at least July. So Chesapeake and other major energy companies have no immediate plans for expanded drilling here. A sigh of relief to some, a wasted opportunity to others.
Let's be rational. Let's balance risk with economic impact too.
First, prove that the technology is clean and you can do it. We don't need to make jobs while we're destroying our environment.
But no doubt those are the battle lines, economy versus environment. And both sides cite experts while arguing fracking will either save the state or possibly destroy it.
So, Michael, right now there's a moratorium on the horizontal fracking, right? What's next with that?
Well, that expires July 1st. It will be up to Governor Cuomo whether to extend it or to let it expire. There are indications in Albany from the new DEC commissioner that the high-volume fracking may be continuing, some of the statements he's made, so we'll have to wait and see.
And fracking is short for fracturing.
Fracturing, yeah, that's the terminology.
More debate to come, no question.